Somebody wants to judge me by what I leave behind, which is my motorhome. And I'm out there trying to advocate for them and their loved ones, and they don't know because I'm not here. And, we don't engage in conversation, even though I speak fluently 2 languages. They look at my motorhome, they say, okay, what can I learn about this guy? They don't necessarily consciously say this, but they think, oh yeah, that's definitely a squatter. Collects, recycling to try to live on, and that's all he can do or whatever. And this is actually me cleaning up not only after myself, but after others. And I'm being judged by them, who, I don't know how they define squatters, but that I have to pick up after them. So that's kind of weird. So I'm going to get some heat going in here. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, there's many assumptions that make people think I'm a squatter. For example, they assume I'm totally broke because I'm a minimalist, and I've been broker than I am right now. And I also know that for the winter, I had to, all year, for the winter to survive it, going more north of BC, I had to make sure that I kept my spending so low that, for example, I could have a plane ticket. And I do have enough money for a plane ticket. In fact, there's a place in Kispiox where I had a dangling carrot, and I could pay even without a roommate to help me. And even if they don't give me a discount, I could pay 2 months there right now. I said, well, that's only 2 months. Yeah, but in that time, if I have a reason to be here, because I'm not going to stay in a community that admits they will make no effort to be friends with me, even though I've proven myself to be honest and have skill sets they need, and will volunteer them, and I can solve housing issue myself, even without them helping, as they receive my free services or income to receive my free services. So for me, it's not necessarily that I can't plant myself somewhere for the winter, but for me, it's not a question of surviving. I'm human. It's actually living because I'm human. Otherwise, I prefer not living. If my nation of origins, it only expects this from me. So once I have a purpose somewhere, even if it's volunteerism where you even get income in your community from me paying for rent, then I'm not just paying for rent. I told you guys this. So you need to have conversations. How will you pay for this? Why don't you, if you have money, pay for that rent? So we'll know, we're not going to have you plug in a place where we're uncomfortable with it. It's because you don't want to have the conversations. You want to believe that I'm the person that lives in your head through your assumptions. That's pretty serious, nasty stuff. And again, I can't blame locally recent people here because my relatives have been exactly the same for decades that I can chart and notice now. For example, if one that's in a warmer place right now says how much they love me and they wish better for me, or they wish they could visit with me more, then I would say, well, the other relatives that visited you in that place that's warmer for you right now, while some other relatives that don't need your house are there for the winter, is I would say, well, did they stay in a hotel? Because you obviously can't have a second bedroom if you love me so much and want to visit with me. And they'd say, well, of course we have a second bedroom. So why didn't you think of, instead of accusing me of being a failure, when it comes to modernity and the reality, I'm obviously not the failure because I don't want to be part of the problem. And I am always very good at making decisions and explaining why they were made. But again, you could explain this to somebody that's the head of a psychiatric department, and it's actually but they don't have all the schemas, and they still think, well, if this person is in this situation, there must be something wrong with them. Although I do, because I gave them more time than psychiatrists usually do, I do understand why he made that choice to, let's say, not buy a porta potty right now, and save up money to maybe leave Canada. And he showed me his passport, and he's done that before, and this is how long he was gone and survived on almost nothing. So he's got some sort of intelligence. But why is his life getting worse and worse? What's the diagnosis? And the diagnosis has to go to the entire species. It's HSD. What I suffer from is species alienation because I reject to suffer from what the norm suffers from. and that's been accelerating, right? I talked about this, how the issues with fixing my Ford motorhome, that I've been having more and more struggles. It's not because there aren't people that are certified mechanics with tools, and it's not like the parts don't exist. And a lot of the times, it's not that I didn't have the money, because 20 years ago, these would have been simple problems to solve. But right now, I'm documenting how, woohoo, something's seriously wrong with my species. And these documents don't prove that it's me refusing this, or doesn't have the money for this, or not trying to make the appointments for this, or find this part. It's really, as I said, HSD has accelerated so much within one lifetime now that it's even easier to measure. It's been building up for thousands of years as a concept that is culture breaking. But it's so obvious now, and that I can't even get into PhD to prove a tiny part of it. Again, when I have the skill sets for that academically, even more than before, even more than the teachers I would have, then yes, you might want to judge me in whatever way you are, but for me, I just talk about reality.